station. This is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, station's with you. We are ready.
CBS, this is Mission Control, Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, good morning. This is CBS News Radio. How do you hear me?
Hello, CBS, loud and clear.
Hey, guys, this is Bill Harwood in Florida. And, Mike, before we get started, I had a pressing question for you specifically, and that is, what's all this I hear about A&M going to the SEC? And what do you think about that?
Hey, Bill, I think that's a done deal, and it sounds like a really good thing. I know the folks back home are very excited about it, so I look forward to seeing the changes.
Well, you know, as an SEC guy myself, we're always glad to have a little break in the competition, so we welcome you aboard. On a more serious note, I know a lot of you guys have iPods on board, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts about the passing of Steve Jobs yesterday.
You know, in every generation, there are great thinkers and people with vision that have the vision of what can be, and then have the energy, the skill, and the genius to make it happen. And Steve Jobs is definitely one of those rare individuals, and the world's going to miss him a lot.
Bill and I can't hear each other. Guys, this is Peter King, also in Florida. I want to turn to the Progress accident and the reduced crew size over the past few weeks. Mike, I'm wondering, how much has that hurt your ability to meet your objectives on station, and what kinds of things have fallen by the wayside?
Hey, Peter, so far so good. We're going at full speed ahead up here. Satoshi and I are holding down the fort on the U.S. OS side of the station. We're meeting our goals, actually exceeding our goals for science right now. And so there's, you know, very little impact to us at this point. We have all the supplies we need, and we're working hard, but we're, you know, getting the job done.
Will the 30 crew be able to make up for the things that you've missed when it's all back to a 6-person crew, Mike?
The advantage that we've had of overlapping crews is a really solid handover, and so when, you know, normally when we leave, the senior crew leaves, the other guys are up to full speed and ready to take over, just like we were when the 28 guys left. And so, you know, it'll hurt efficiency a little bit, as they're not quite as quick at accomplishing things because they're working through it more and have to ask more questions. I expect there'll be a little bit of efficiency as they, you know, really come up to speed. But, you know, that's about it.
Hey, Mike, this is Bill again. Have you guys heard any updates on the Soyuz investigation, or the upcoming launch and entry date solid as far as you know? And have you talked to the crew recently? See how they're doing.
I talked to Dan Burbank yesterday. We're in contact with the crews, you know, as they prepare, and we're going to continue having contact with them all the way up. And all the word we're getting is that things are on track. It seems to be an unexplained anomaly in the fuel system, and so they've added in more teardowns, re-inspections, as you know, they get it certified and prepared to go do the test launch leading up to flight. So everything seems like it's on track. There's some very big events coming up that will really, you know, determine, you know, how close to the current schedule we stick. But everything sounds good, and everybody's moving forward.
Hey, thanks. You know, the Progress failure once again, you know, proves the obvious that this is a risky business. And, you know, here in Florida this week, they're wrapping up meetings to brief industry on the requirements of the upcoming contracts to design a commercial launch vehicle. And I guess the question is, how important is it to you for NASA to get a U.S. spacecraft flying, and does it bother you from a safety standpoint that whatever comes out of this won't be a NASA-owned spacecraft, at least not the way it's been in the past?
Well, it is a different way of doing business that we're moving into now, and you know, there's a lot of pluses and minuses associated with that, and a lot of it's nuance, really, rather than big differences. I think it is important that we come up, that we do have another capability as one of the partners on this incredible space station that we have, you know, struggled and built together over the last decades. It helps to have redundant ways of getting crew and supplies to and from the station. We've come a long ways toward redundant supplies, but really having only one way to get crews up and down is a limitation. And I think, we really need to have another way to do that, so that we can meet the need if there's a downtime. And this is a pretty minor one right here. It'll be a small blip as they work through this problem, but there's always the potential that something bigger is going to happen that's going to require a cessation of flight for a period of time, like we had with the shuttle program, of course. And the strength of the partnership is different partners bringing these capabilities in, so we have different ways of addressing the same needs.
This is Peter again, and a question for both of you, but let's start with Dr. Furukawa, since you're the medical professional. I'm wondering if either of you or your crewmates have had any vision problems up there. I'm sure you're aware that we've heard reports that some of your colleagues have come back with vision problems.
Well, no problem at all. We periodically inspect with each other, and no problem at all.
Same for you?
Yeah, I'll add to it a little bit, Peter. I'll add to that just a little bit. We're going periodically. We do different tests, and this week is one of those weeks where we do the vision test. First is just the visual acuity test, which everybody does when you go to the doctor's office. Cover one eye. We're also doing. We did yesterday. We performed ultrasounds of our eyes, where we measured the details of the eyeball to see if there's any physical changes, including the optic nerve on the back of the eyeball. And this is new stuff, which they're keeping a close eye on things like that. We'll be taking images of our retina later today. 2 days ago, we took tonometry measurements, which is the interocular pressure. All those kind of things to keep an eye on it. So far, we're in great shape and ready to stay up here as long as we need to.
And yet you're on your way back in a few weeks just before Thanksgiving. I'm wondering what each of you has missed the most and what you're looking forward to the most once you get back on the ground around November 22nd or so.
Well, I miss my family, friends, and coworkers, and looking forward to seeing them.
And for me, it's really special to be home at Thanksgiving time. I've been on the road training in Russia for the last several years at Thanksgiving. So I look forward to spending Thanksgiving with my family for the first time in years, a whole lot. That'll be great.
Hey, it's Bill again, Mike. Just to continue the earlier line of questioning, I was out at KSC a few days ago, and it's almost like a ghost town out there, at least in the wake of the shuttle program closing down. And I know you guys never like to talk politics, but this is a pretty rough time in the space business, and I guess I wonder, what's your message to the team on the ground? I mean, if this is a halftime pep talk, what would you say?
Well, I'd say that we were very fortunate to have a shuttle program that lasted as long as it did. When you consider the development time and the life of the program, it was over 40 years. We had a great run. It's hard to come to grips with the fact that we don't have a flying spacecraft right now. For most of America, they've known us as a spacefaring nation who fly to space fairly routinely. We've had some accidents, there were some setbacks, but they've since people became aware of the world around them and the things that we do, they've known that we fly people into space. And so it's still an adjustment here to be in this period of time when we do not fly people into space right now, and we don't have a solid path ahead of us to put a U.S. capability on the pad for launching humans into space. And so it's kind of unsettling for all of us kids who grew up dreaming about the space business and cheering the space program, each launch, and now that we don't have that. And so it is a letdown. It's a letdown for each one of us personally. And it's as we adjust to how things are moving forward. I mean, the KSC team are amazing. That has been just a wonderful, incredible group of people that have been so dedicated to walk through there, and I know you've been there too, to walk through those hangars where they're taking care of their babies, and it's their space shuttles. When I was a rookie astronaut, I made the mistake of calling Discovery my shuttle or our shuttle, and one of those big guys down there kind of squared on me, and he says, "That's my shuttle. You're just borrowing it." So you betcha, that's exactly right. And that's how proud and personal they take it. And so it's hard when you have something that you feel that personal about, that you've dedicated your life, your career to, and now we've decided it's time for that one to end and move forward into something else. The adjustment is just tough. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it is, and I know you're an optimist, but you know NASA's an easy target when it comes to cutting the federal deficit and things like that. Are you at all worried about whether NASA's going to get the budget it needs to underwrite the commercial launch effort and in the bigger picture, the Space Launch System and the deep space program?
Well, Bill, I think you have to be an optimist. There are a lot of tough problems. There's a lot of different ways to look at this, and the economic situation we're in, the budgets for the nation and really for the nations of the world. Everybody's going through a period of turmoil right now, and we have to, pay attention to the details and understand our priorities. I think space is worth it. I think that the payoffs that we get from this kind of an endeavor are worth the precious gold that we put into it. That it does generate a lot of benefits that aren't measured necessarily by having humans directly in space or even the science that we're doing here, today. But there's a whole lot of benefits in it from a lot of different angles, and I believe that we're going to find the way to continue keeping the resources going, to keep this facility going, and keep mankind's vision looking out, looking forward, and finding a way to make it happen.
Mike, it's Peter again, and every reporter gets one frivolous question, so this is mine. I'm just curious because, we take for granted that we can switch back and forth on TV and radio between all the baseball playoff games and college football, all that this fall. I'm wondering if you're able to follow any of this stuff in real time, including the playoffs and your Aggies.
Mostly, I'm keeping track of the Aggies. I get real-time updates from the games via Twitter. There's a lot of people out there sending information, and that's my fastest real-time way to keep up with the scores and cheer along. My family's been at the games, and so I've talked to them, and they actually are shipping the games up to me or highlights to me a day or two after the game, so I get to cheer along a little later while I'm exercising or something like that. So that's one of the diversions, one of the things you do to keep track of home and just feel like you're human.
All right. Well, Mike and Satoshi, thank you both so much. Have a great rest of the mission. We'll see you when you get back.
Peter, Bill, it's great talking to you guys. Thanks for your support, and all the best from the International Space Station. This is the crew of Expedition 29 signing off.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank y'all.
Thank you, CBS News Station. Please stand by while we reconfigure video and audio communications.